Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Family. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
What's up, my friends? My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today we're answering listener questions, and we're talking about in-home family therapy. Let's go.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by Faithful Counseling. We partnered with Faithful Counseling so that you guys could get the help that you need right from home. To learn more about Faithful Counseling, visit getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. All right.
Good job. What
I do a good
what a radio voice. You're good. All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to Anatomy of Family. We hope you're having a good week so far. We're glad you joined us today. Today, we're going to answer a listener question that is extremely close to my heart for two reasons. Number one, I'm a licensed trained therapist in family systems theory, and also we have done in-home family counseling before.
Yes, we have.
So let me just read this question. I just found your podcast today as it showed up with one of my suggested podcasts. Ooh, thank you for clicking. I listened to a couple of them, and one of them was with your son. In it, you had mentioned you had in-home family therapy/counseling. It also sounds like your family lives somewhere in Washington. Yes, we do. I'm very interested what the counseling looked like for your family. I was also hoping you might have a recommendation. Our kids range in age from 4 to 13, so I understand we have some varied perspectives, but I would love to develop some language, healthy habits, and conversational tips for our relationships now that we can all have better relationships for our future. First of all, thank you.
Yeah.
You're a concerned mother, you want to do good, you want to do right, and you're open to counseling, which is awesome. That's the first step, right? So let's just talk about in-home family therapy, and we'll talk about it in two kind of tiers. I'll explain some stuff, family systems, then we'll talk about our experience.
Sure.
Okay? So I've been a therapist for about 13 years, and a lot of my practice, I don't know, probably for about 8 to 10 years involved in-home family therapy visits. So I would go into people's houses within the community, talk to the kids, the moms, the aunties, the uncles, the dads, and everybody. And what we're looking at, because oftentimes people come to a counselor, a private practice, a therapist, or an agency saying, oh my gosh, my kid is losing his mind. What do we do? What's going on, right? And there's this saying, so this is called the, I'll give an analogy here. It's called the sick forest, like an unwell forest, right? So you look at a bunch of trees and like, oh man, the leaves are falling off. What's going on? And you can take that one tree, take it out of the forest, put it in a healthy environment, and then what does it start to do? It starts to thrive. It starts to get, green again.
Right.
But what always happens, okay, this tree gets picked back up and placed into that same unhealthy forest. Now, I'm not giving an analogy that this family has, a sick forest or we were unhealthy when we did in-home counseling or anything like that. But there is a lot to say. Okay, therapy isn't just an island. It's not fix my kid and then the kid goes back into the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and it makes me think of like with even marriage therapy and stuff, we talk about how even coaching is so different because we're in your everyday.
Right.
Coaching happens in your house, right? Like we're like talking virtually with you, right? But what's the downside of when people go just to a therapist's office? And we're not knocking going to a therapist, okay? So don't hear that. But there is an element of you're in a different environment. Like you go somewhere totally different. It's not your kitchen. It's not your bedroom. It's not your living room. And you're expected to take that knowledge and then impart it back into your kitchen, your bedroom, your living room. And that's a very hard shift for people to make. So I like that analogy of the
tree back into the forest. So the point of that is it's not the one tree, it's not the one kid, it's not like just your wife or whatever or your husband. It is the entire systems,
the environment.
Family systems. So in that we look at family of origin. What did your parents do? How did you learn how to be married, how to be a parent, etc.? And when I go into homes, at least when I did kind of pre-COVID stuff, I'm always gathering all kinds of information. So it's not me just talking. Say that I came, say that you were a mom and you had a kid or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm the therapist. Come in. Oh, hello. Take your shoes off. Sit on the couch. Okay, let's chat. Right. So I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. Who's coming in? Who's coming out?
Right.
Is there loud music playing? Are there dogs around barking? Is the house clean, not clean kind of thing? So that is giving me all information of how I can assess and help this family. And I have so many crazy stories. I've been bitten by dogs, y'all. It's just bonkers, right? But the point of this is we want to, say the kid is having anxiety, right? So I want to interview the mom and dad to some degree and say, hey, how are you guys doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you fighting? Are you not fighting? You're just nothing. Are you communicating well? Are you not communicating? Do you have a routine? Do you have a schedule? Do you have, is somebody gone all the time? So that in itself can manifest within the kid as anxiety.
Right.
So it's not just me treating the anxiety of the kid. It's like, hey, mom, hey, dad, let's get a routine going on here. Let's spend 30 minutes with the kid each night or whatever to give them that feeling of safety and security and positivity. And then we'll see that anxiety level go down in most cases.
Right. And I think that when Seth says he's scanning the environment, he's not, because this is just how I perceive it and how I think a lot of people perceive it is like, will I get in trouble? Is he scanning the environment because I'm bad? Like, no, he's looking for connections. Like, a good example is, if you have an older kid who's, let's say, a teenager, and like you said, like they're blasting music all day long and they're angry and they come out cussing, like that's going to impact the littler ones and their anxiety. And so he's looking for connections that sometimes when you're in it, you don't see. Like when, fish are in water, they don't know they're in water. They're just in it. And so I think I know families they get into these routines that they've built over years and years really slowly. And they have no idea of the connection of like, oh, this kid comes out guns blazing every night and screams at us for an hour, but I can't seem to figure out why little Virginia is crying all the time. It's connected, right? It's connected. And they'll think it's this kid's problem when it really could be that kid's behavior.
Right. So the family systems kind of thing. And oftentimes we are too close to see it. And there's a saying, we can't read the label from inside the bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, wait, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And oftentimes just having someone come in and kind of assess things, I can point out, like, say that there's literal music blasting all the time, but the whole family's listened to it. Oh, we don't make, Johnny turn off his music because then he just gets mad or whatever and loses his brain. So we just kind of deal with it. But have you ever just had like an annoying song playing or just sounds or like background noise? And they actually do that as torture. I know. That's what I'm saying. So it's grating on your nerves. So it's like, it's never quiet here. It's never peace and quiet. That's why, the kid never wants to come home from school, or that's why he wants to go to grandma's house all the time. Well, what's the matter? Aren't we? You have an Xbox here, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's that other stuff that we just don't see, that having an in-home therapist doing a home visit can be really, really helpful. And I want to normalize it to some degree. So a lot of people may be scared, like, oh, they're, I better vacuum, or like, I don't know, straighten up the house or do whatever because I'm going to be judged by this therapist. And that is not the case. That's what I'm, like you said, I'm not saying that when I go in and like scanning the environment. It's not that at all. And
it's almost like you're taking the temperature of the humans, like the relational temperature. It's less about, is your carpet dirty? Or is your sink full of dishes? And more about, does your husband treat you like a piece of dirt and that's causing you to have anxiety, which gives the kid anxiety? Like it's a sort of a temperature of the relationship assessment.
And there's just all kinds of assessment. I remember way back in the day, this was years ago, I was seeing a kid, right? The mom initially brought the kid in, okay, anxiety, bad school stuff, or whatever. And then I was like, okay. Then I got to know the mom more. It's like, hey, mom, come on in our sessions, right? And of course, she started to unload all her stuff, which is always the case usually. I was like, okay, let's maybe get dad in here too. Now, this wasn't, I did a couple of home visits with this family, but okay, let's get dad in here. So it turned out dad was working literal 90-hour weeks, never around. Mom had a small kid doing all the housework, whatever. They were having problems. There were other underlying like really serious mental health conditions going on with dad and stuff like that. So I began to take all this information and kind of synthesize it through my brain and go, okay, kid, let's do this type of treatment plan. Had I not seen the dad, seen the mom, done the home visits, I wouldn't have known that. It's like, hey, why are you making bad grades? What's going on?
Right.
And then why are you blowing out at school?
Yeah,
they just blame the kid, right? So if I hope you guys are I hope we're painting an appropriate picture of, oh, it's all of this stuff. It's the family systems.
Yes.
Right? Systems thinking. Now, let's transition into our own experience with in-home family therapy.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, I didn't know what to expect really, which is funny because it's what you've done for the last forever. But I had not ever done it, right? Yeah. And so we reached out to get in-home family therapy because our buzzing. Something's buzzing.
Mm.
Okay, it stopped.
Okay.
To get therapy, our middle kid, the one that we interviewed, obviously in the episode, was just really struggling. And it was deeply, deeply impacting our other kids and us. So
Right.
I will, again, normalize all of this too, that for us, because this is something, you know, you're only a parent when you're a parent and you don't know anything before that. And you can't prepare for it before it. And you can't prepare before your kid like breaks their arm. You can't really prepare until it happens and then you're there. So this had never been an issue before. Like we didn't ever have to do this before. And then all of a sudden we did.
And there were a lot of other things going on. There was
a lot of transition.
We just sold our house, moved into an apartment, moved out of the apartment into our new house, but still remodeling the whole time and then staying part-time with her parents. So our world was just completely just kind of bonkers.
Like we shook everything up.
Right. Yeah. While still doing the podcast and stuff. So we were too close. We couldn't see the label, but slowing down and having the therapist say, wow, you guys are doing a really lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the interventions were like, hey,
sit and hang out with your kid.
Sit and hang out with kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Take a walk.
So it wasn't just the one kid or the two kids or the three kids having problems, anxiety and stuff like that, behavior wise. It was what you and I were doing, and then and then also us experiencing our own anxiety levels, apart from the family.
Which I think was one of the best things in all of that when we had. So let me just talk about what it felt like, though. I want to kind of paint a picture of what it felt like. So again, we were actually staying at my parents', and so the therapist came to my parents' house with us. We were all there. We went upstairs. We have the big like upstairs room. And he was super nice, like super, super nice, super easygoing, just a sort of a gentle, calm guy. And we all sat around a big table, our family, not my parents, but us and our children and the therapist. And he just started asking questions like, where do you go to school? What do you do? You know, nothing weird, nothing like, well, why are you so bad? You know, nothing pointed at all to any of the kids.
The assessment. And what was really cool too, and this is our experience of it, was hearing our kids' answers when another informed adult was asking them questions like, hey, tell me about a time when you like to hang out with your parents, or what do you like to do, kind of thing. And it was really interesting. It gave us insights
and perspective
and perspective into our kids, which is really neat.
Yeah, and so he just talked. I mean, it was super easygoing, gentle, nothing weird. No one was upset. But and like I had the same fears too, like, oh, am I like doing some terrible wrong thing? You know, like when you go through not everybody's like this. Like when you check out at the grocery store and you think, what if I stole something accidentally? Like I'm that person. And if the thing goes off, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I a thief?
Really?
And I didn't know. Yes, I'm that person.
That's
so
funny.
I am very much like, am I really bad? And I just don't know it. Like that's kind of my fear.
So you had some anxiety even going into a family therapy.
But what was good about it is that, so two things. One is he didn't look at me and say, you're such a bad mom. Like, you're the worst. That's why your kids are upset.
Right.
So that felt good.
No therapist should ever do that, by the way.
But then it actually allowed us, by us, I mean you and I as a married couple, to finally acknowledge this is really stressful. Because I don't think at that point we kind of had like that empathic kind of like, oh my gosh, this is harder than we thought it was. We thought we could white knuckle this. We thought medicine would be the answer. We thought this would be the answer. We thought that, like, we had just been trying and trying and trying and trying. So it almost, and when you're in that stage where, like, if you have a kid or maybe one or two kids that are struggling, as a parent unit, you're trying to help that kid. So there's, you know, you've got all these things you're balancing: school, you're balancing food, you're balancing caring for the home and bills and blah, blah, blah. And then this extra sort of additional stress of having a kid who needs some special attention. And sometimes you don't slow down enough to go, wait, how is this impacting us?
Right.
So when he came to the house and we all talked together, it was the first time for me anyway, that I felt like someone else could really see, and we were kind of there together talking about how does this impact you, and having this realization, like the second I tried to talk about it, I just started crying because I'm like, I mean, as much as I've talked about it with you and I talked about it with my mom and trying to figure it out, and you're kind of just problem solving, you're not going inward and being like, how is this tearing me apart inside? And so that was one of the best things that ever came out of the home sessions, was that because it wasn't just about him. It wasn't just about the kid. It wasn't about the next medication to put him on. It wasn't about the next therapy at the school. It was literally about our whole family.
Right.
And that
systemic,
felt,
right?
yes.
The whole system.
And that felt really good, which I didn't think. I didn't think that it would feel good or bad. I just didn't think it would feel good.
So think about it. We talked about this in season 1 about how families and family systems are like a baby mobile, right? A mobile,
Alabama.
Right. If you blow on one, right, that moves, and then the whole thing moves. There's a ripple effect, right? So it wasn't just our kid or our kids doing stuff,
right?
And once we had actually the outside person come in and just ask a couple of questions, you're like, ooh,
yeah,
right, and you start crying. It's like, oh, you've been carrying that for a really long time. So that's where therapy can be different. And again, speaking of therapy, we want you guys to go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to get a counselor, right? We partner with people who we trust, who we like, and who actually help people because we do this show because we're doing real help for real couples. And we want you to go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to get an assessment. You can handpick your counselor. You get a family systems therapist just like me. Oh, we're going to talk about some family system stuff. We're going to talk about birth order, family of origin. We're going to talk about my anxiety. You can all do this, you guys. You don't have to go to an office. Some people prefer that, but you don't have to, right? There's still some COVID stuff going around. There's still some fear around that, of course. But you can do it in your pajamas, in your own home, right? So go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to take the free online assessment and then sign up.
Awesome.
Your insurance will probably pay for it, you guys. Getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I was saying, you were carrying around a lot of that stress. And until you just talk to somebody, you think, okay, well, I can just push forward and white knuckle it. I can do this alone. But just clearly, as evidenced by you crying and stuff like that, and us just slowing down, we couldn't. And I'm glad that we chose to do that. Sometimes it's scary, but of course, growth comes in the discomfort. And I will say,
it was suggested to us by my dad. It was, which is so weird. My dad probably has never gone to therapy. Doesn't seem like it anyway.
Maybe. We don't know.
But he literally was like, hey, I can help set this up for you. Like, I think maybe you should do this. And I was like, what? So just note, we were not the brilliant ones who chose to do it. It was my dad.
The therapist didn't even think about it, right? Because we're too close to it.
Yes, exactly.
We're too close to it.
So I think that some of the benefits that, I guess, let's talk more about like the ways that it works. Some of the things that I was surprised at when he came to our house, he actually, the next time he came, he said, is it okay if I bring my therapy dog? And of course, his therapy dog was the tiniest little, like those teddy bear things.
I think it was a Bichon Frise.
It's mixed. It's like a teddy bear or something or other. But our kids got to walk this little tiny dog up and down the street while he talked with them. They loved it. Their memories of having in-home therapy sessions. And how many did we have?
Only like
3 or 4. Yeah. Their memories were so super positive. It was not.
So what did we do there? We normalized going and getting help, right? Obviously, I'm a therapist. I advocate for therapy. We talk about it all the time on the show. Why? Because we need help, especially men who say, oh, I can never talk to, or whatever, or even women. We've had clients before. It's like, well, you just don't talk about those things.
Right.
Well, when we don't talk about those things, then that's when we start.
Yeah.
That's when we start kind of declining and going downhill, all the while thinking, okay, I'll just do more. Do more. But it's like throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
It's like it's a liquid. We're putting liquid on the fire. That should put it out, right? No.
Right.
And it just blows up. So we actually never thought about it in this way before, but we were actually giving a gift to our kids and ourselves by normalizing therapy. Hey, you got something you really need to talk about? Okay, we can go to a therapist. We can set that up. I want to help you as best I can, right?
And I think normalizing talking about mental wellness, like feelings, just making it okay to be like, sometimes I get angry or sometimes I cry or whatever it is. Like sometimes I want to say mean things. And navigating those conversations with someone who you're not related to, they don't give you their opinion. They don't say, "Oh, that's dumb," or "Why would you ever do that?" They don't talk to you that way. And that is a gift to give our kids.
So let me tell you something. So I just recently recorded an episode with our coach, who is awesome. He's a dude's dude, like strong tattoos, all this stuff, right? But him and I have a real conversation about mental health, about actually going to therapy, and how he goes once a week. And he's been going once a week for, I don't know, years and years and years. And it's not because like we're messed up and got all this crazy baggage. It's tuning up our brains, right? Because when I am healthy and well mentally, guess what? I do everything better, right? And if it takes going to talk to somebody,
well,
okay.
And even so, we're watching Formula One Drive to Survive, and even the guy, the racer, I don't remember his name, but he goes to a therapist, and he was like,
I got to get my head right.
Yeah, he said, I exercise everything else, my reflexes, my muscles, my diet is tuned in. He's like, why wouldn't I think my brain needs to be tuned in? I was like, that's pretty good. I mean, I like that. So if a Formula One driver can go to a therapist, so can you.
So can you, right?
But I don't know. I hope that I answered your questions about what in-home family therapy is like. We encourage you to look into it. I don't know if you wanted to share resources here, or how were you thinking about sharing resources?
Well, I'm going to email this person separately to share resources, because we're both out here in Washington.
But you can
go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. You can get family counseling, right? There's family therapist on there. So try it out that way. It's cheap. Insurance pays for it. There's no reason not to try it. Go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. And also remember, if you have any questions, email us at hello@anatomyofmarriage.com. We'll answer them on the show. We want to help you. We want to help others. That's what we do. That's our mission. So anything else, lady friend?
No.
Girlfriend?
No.
Right.
We love you. Go get therapy. It's basically the best thing for you.
Right. So. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.